Yeah.
Mate, what time is it over there?
5:40 in the morning.
He was telling me, to be fair, that you're just getting in. You're trying to get in some form of routine for before the baby comes.
Yeah. Like it's.
I hated it. Mine's 9, mate, and I hated it. I hated these first parts. Oh.
In fact, right, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. We've got a class story for the episode, mate. You're telling that story you told me yesterday.
What, the one I told you the other day?
Fucking telling me that. You're telling that on the podcast, mate. Oh. Right, we're good to go?
Yeah.
Joining us today is a gent who began his coaching journey working in a Texan summer camp supporting children and adults with special needs. He qualified as a personal trainer in 2013, going on to intern in California, training professional athletes and general population clients. Returning to the UK, he worked out of commercial facilities before going on to open his own studio and developing an online offering, catering to people all over the world. Moving out permanently to Texas, having married his amazing wife, Lauren, in 2019. He has since qualified as a strength coach and works closely with scholastic athletes alongside his online offering. A good friend with a half-decent golf swing by all accounts, Mr. Andy Chadwick. Hello, mate.
That was an introduction and a half.
Oh, mate. I know. It's all right, isn't it? I had to mention the golf swing in there because everyone tells me that I've still never seen you play, but everyone tells me that you're pretty decent, mate. How's you doing much golfing out there? How's it all working over there?
Well, first off, I keep it under wraps.
Okay.
Bit of sharking, bit of hustling right there.
Yeah, so he's actually a really, really poor golf player, everyone. Just for those listening, he's no good.
He's just good at swinging the club. That's it. He doesn't hit now. He just swings the club around.
No, so I can play golf to a good standard, but with everything that's gone on with the business, trying to grow everything online, work takes over a little bit more.
Yeah.
Family takes over a little bit more, and when your wife lives in when your girlfriend at the time lives in a different country, you're doing a lot of traveling, so golf doesn't necessarily become prominent. So that changed, but no, I can still play a little bit.
Fair play, mate. It's good stuff. We were saying the other day it might be something that I actually have a go at. I've been saying for years that I'm not going to do it because I think I know I won't be very good at it. But everyone seems to be playing now. It's quite a good social thing by all accounts. My old man and my brother play.
It's a bit of a difference though than where you are in Wolves and then being in Texas where the sun's unreal.
Yeah.
On decent courses and that,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, mate. Well, to be fair, Andy will be able to give me all the tips on the Wolverhampton courses because he would have played them, wouldn't he? Legend.
Well, yeah, that's going to help. But it's becoming a really big social sport. I mean, it's bigger over here in terms of the social aspect because guys will take crates of beer on the course with them.
Mad.
Like, it's just a beer a hole, just going out fun. I don't know how these people are getting home from the golf course. But
See that sounds more like my kind of golf, I reckon.
There you go.
I'll have to just move to America, mate. We'll be all right then.
100%.
Sound. But no, yeah. Thanks for jumping on, mate. It's good to have you. We haven't caught up for a little while, have we? So obviously just nice to catch up, go through your journey, share your experiences a little bit and chew the fat, mate. So yeah, over to you. Just talk us through what sort of got you into heading over to that camp in America and then how things have gone since then.
Yeah, so I was your kind of quintessential personal trainer in terms of the fact that I was always into sports as a kid. So I was big into football. I was going to say soccer then, but obviously UK listeners, aren't they? And so it's kind of just you're good at sport. You play a lot of it, so you pick a career based around it. Well, actually, I ended up going to college and becoming an electrician. So it was kind of one of those that I'd stayed on and done my A-levels. And when I'd finished my A-levels, it was kind of like, I still don't know what I want to do in my life. So my mum had a really good talk with me and said, look, at the end of the day, you're not going to just be someone who's gone through this journey of school and then just doing nothing afterwards. So you either get a job or you go to college and you do something extra. And it was like my cousin was an electrician. So I was like, right, I'll just do that myself. I'll just follow down the same path. And to be fair, the 3.5 years that I studied for it, I did enjoy it at college, but just bad experiences when I came out working in the workplace just for some horrible people, and just decided I didn't enjoy it in the end. So I was kind of looking at what I could do that would be kind of like a switch and a change. And then I was working in a bar at the same time and decided that I was going to go and work at a summer camp in Texas. Well, I say I was going to go and work at a summer camp in Texas. I was going to work at a summer camp, so I went through Camp America, and I think it's still going on, but probably not at the minute. But you basically go through the organisation, and they pair you up with a camp, and then they send you out. And I still remember in the January of 2012, I was literally paired up with this camp, and I had a meeting with them, and they explained the kind of place I was going to be working. And I got off the phone call with them, and I was like, do I really want to work with children and adults with special needs and chronic illness? Like, is that something that I'm prepared to do? And I remember a couple of days later, I'd been kind of thinking about it, of what I was going to decide to do if they offered it me. And they sent me the offer, and without even thinking about it, I just said, yeah. Like, I didn't even stop. I didn't even think. I just went, yeah, I'll do it. My friend had already been paired up with a camp because he was doing it at the same time. And I was like, well, if I don't get picked now, if I don't say yes, I'm not going to get picked by another camp. I'm not going.
Yeah.
So it turned out to be the best summer of my life, just simply because it changed me as a person. Like, going from this kind of, I don't want to say a dropout kid at school, but very much kind of didn't care about learning, didn't care about studying, didn't really have a passion or anything. And then going to work at this camp and realizing that just helping people was so amazing. Like seeing kids that have got 3rd-degree burns and they don't have like full hands with like fingers and stuff, and like they've got no eyelashes and no hair on their faces and stuff, and no hair on their heads because they've been burnt because of car accidents and stuff. Like, you just see that they've got so much love and so much passion in their eyes. You don't realize actually inside counts a lot more than the outside.
Yeah.
So it's so cool to be able to kind of just witness 3 months of just pure love and happiness in a place. It was brilliant.
I suppose it's like that little bit of perspective, isn't it? I guess like it frames it in a completely different way, because I think a lot of people, we can tend to sit there sometimes and be like, oh, I've missed Emmerdale tonight, but actually there's bigger things, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? So that's class.
Yeah,
that it did that for you.
100%. I was probably that, not necessarily Emmerdale, but I was that probably Holly.
With this tash, I definitely look like I should be in Emmerdale, didn't I?
But yeah, like, you start to realise that, hang on a minute, the crappy golf game that you had last weekend didn't matter. So like, you just come away from it and you just completely changed, and it was fantastic. And I've got some friends from camp that I still talk to now because we just had such a great connection. And so it made me realise that I wanted to just help people. And I met my now wife the first summer after a breakup, and when we were just talking about where we wanted to go in life, I just said, well, I'm an electrician, but I don't really want to do it. And I currently work in a bar and I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. And so she was like, well, what do you like? And I was like, well, I like fitness and I like helping people. And she's like, well, why don't you do that? And so I came back and I just went on and found this random guy with a weird mustache. Like, yeah, you could do this fitness instructor's course with us. So I did this level 2 fitness instructor's course, and I went back to camp the next year. But before I went back, I managed to just literally slime my way through a 3-week PT course and qualify just before I went out again. And I must admit, Dan, 3 weeks to get qualified is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a short amount of time. I think we were saying this on one of the other episodes, weren't we? I think there's a lot of it's almost like that driving test, isn't it? Like, people pass, but then really they learn how to actually drive, where to push which pedals, where to use their mirrors, etc. afterwards. I think the good thing about the industry at the minute is the way Simpspa are going, the way UK Active are going, the way everything's being I suppose torn up to how it was and having to be changed is a positive for us as an industry, because there's definitely a few rascals out there. But yeah, you learn as you go, don't you, mate? You learn as you go. So
yeah, 100%. It was very much like I did the course, and I guess I was very lucky because I did my course just before I flew out to Texas again for the second summer, and I had 3 months of like, okay, I've qualified now. What am I going to do when I get back? So I kind of had a thought that I'll go to the nearest health club that's by me, and it was Virgin Active. And it was great because it allowed me to just kind of get in and work with some people to begin with. Now, I wasn't exactly being thrown in the deep end with my own business and just kind of going off and training people. But it taught me how much I needed to value myself. That was a huge thing. And I remember when I started working there, they didn't value a personal trainer at all. Like, I got this qualification. I remember that Virgin Active, you either had red shirts, which was your fitness instructors, and black shirts, which is your personal trainers. And I remember wearing this black shirt thinking, this is it. This is it. This is the moment right here. This is where I start to change the world. And it did not work like that at all. Didn't work like that at all.
Do you know what, mate? It never does for anyone, that does it? That never happened. No. It's the same with me. It was exactly the same. You speaking about that then just took me back to when I first started. I was at Total Fitness, and going from a blue shirt to a black shirt, it was just, you thought you've done it. You thought, I'm doing it. I'm going to do all this. It takes you back, and then you realise, I'm not doing shit. You just think, where do I start now? What do I do? I tell you what's interesting for me to hear is from you there is when you talked about that understanding that helping people is massive, and then when you come back and realizing that this is something that you want to do, like, how did that switch and shift your mentality a little bit? Because it sounds like your journey is very similar to what mine was. It sounded like I was just listening to myself speak, and that switch for me, like going from I just want to do something that I enjoy to Jesus Christ, I love helping people, seeing a smile on somebody's face, and that when you got back then and you qualified and stuff, like, how did that switch help you? What was that like?
So the motivation was high. The motivation was really high, and it was like, right, okay, world is your oyster, let's go. Like, I'm gonna change the world. And it was very much a kind of like a tunnel vision, but the funnel had just got really wide. It's probably the best way of putting it, because I walked in, I was like, right, I'm gonna go and help everyone. So literally, how can I help everyone? And that became my only focus. And then all of a sudden it was like, who do I help? Like, everyone's in the gym looking at you like, come on then, help me. And they have this look on their face saying, yes, come and help me. But you could walk over and be like, hey, how's it going? It's like, who the fuck are you? Like, why are you coming to talk to me on the gym floor? Like, I don't want to know you. I had this story where this lady had been in the gym for about 30 minutes, and she was on the cross trainer, just doing her thing, going about her day. And I just thought, you know what? There's not really many people in here right now because it's mid of the day. I'm just going to go over, I'm going to say hello, and I'm just going to have a conversation with her. And I remember walking over, and I went, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm Andy. I just wanted to come and introduce myself. And this lady must have had a bad day because she flipped on me. She was like, this is ridiculous. You're the 5th person to come over and try and talk to me. Like, can I just not get on with my work? And I was like, whoa. So I just said, look, I'm really sorry. I just wanted to come over and introduce myself. And if you've got any questions, just let me know. And she was like, fine. So I walked off, and she got off the cross trainer, went downstairs and complained to the manager. And the manager came up and just took me in the office and said, what's happened with this lady? And I told him, and I was like, look, I'm sorry. Like, I just went over and spoke to her, and she just flipped on me. And it was a big moment, because I was like, you know what? Some people just really don't want to be helped. They just want to carry on and do their own thing. Now, you'll always find the people that do want to be helped and don't want to be helped. So for me, it was like, okay, cool. Everyone needs help, but not everyone is in the position that they actually want help at that time. So it was almost a case of, what I learned at that moment was, a big thing that you can always do is just talk to people before they hit the gym floor. So I wouldn't always be on the gym floor, which is where they wanted you to be, but it didn't actually always work. So because I was working in a health club, I had access to the cafe area, I had access to the sales office, I had access to the front desk. And more often than not, I'd go down to the sales office or the front desk, and I'd just like check people in, and I'd just say hello. And I'd just see on the computer the names. So when they swiped in, I'd be like, oh, how's it going, Jane? You all right? Oh, how's it going, Mike? You good? And so all of a sudden, people just started to be like, who's this guy? Like, what's going on? So for me, it was very much, like I said, that kind of tunnel vision that you just want to go in and help people and just see what people can like be helped with, whether it's losing body fat, building muscle or whatever. And I'll be completely honest, when I qualified, I was the scrawniest kid. Like I didn't have much muscle to me at all. So for me, it was like, I didn't associate with the guys that were lifting heavy weights. Don't get me wrong, I wanted to be in that room, but I didn't necessarily associate with them. Whereas I knew roughly that I could help people lose body fat, but I didn't have all the knowledge yet. So it was like, yes, I'm going to help everyone. So I'm just going to really focus on just trying to help every single person. But then all of a sudden, it's like everyone needs help. So it was a very, very kind of surreal moment. I think it was probably the best way of putting it. But I'll never forget my first client.
I think everyone sort of goes through that phase of like, where the fuck do I start? Because you never taught, we say it 1,001 times, don't we? But when you go through that level 2 and level 3, you said it just then, you sort of shown how to program for someone, you sort of shown how to maybe get them from A to Z, but not the rest of the alphabet and all of the behavioral change elements that come into that. You don't really sit there and go through, tracking, understanding how to go and run a business, how to market yourself. None of that is even touched on in your course, is it? So as you're saying there, you've got all the will in the world to want to go and help people, but how you, like, where you start, how you do that, how you then actually put a plan together to go and get anywhere near a business that you want to get is like, no one tells you how to do that. And I think especially when I know you had some ups and downs through that, didn't you? You're going to go for your first client, so go for it, mate.
Yeah, so my first client was actually given to me by one of the other trainers who was leaving the facility, and he introduced me to her, and I was like, this is great. Like, I've got a client, like I'm going to get paid £8 an hour, like to train this woman. Like, this is brilliant. And then I was like, dang, they're getting paid like 30 for the hour. Like, they're getting 30 and I'm getting 8. So, all right, okay. But for me, it was like, right, how can I pour as much information as I can into this person? So I literally just started training her, and she'd had a previous injury on her shoulder. And so I was training her for a while, and her shoulder was kind of constantly being hurt outside of sessions. And so whenever she would come in, a lot of our work was all about kind of just trying to, and again, I didn't have all the knowledge, but make sure that we just did everything we could to not injure the shoulder and make sure that it was getting better. How on earth I was actually trying to program for that, because I had no previous history or previous background doing it. But I was like, right, okay, just make sure it's protected. So just get stronger in the back. That's all I knew. And we'd been training together for maybe 2 months, and she got a session booked in. It was on a Tuesday. I don't know why I still remember it was a Tuesday, but she never turned up. I was like, okay, that's weird. So about 5:05, I dropped her a message, and I was like, hey, like, hope you're okay. Like, I'm just checking in to make sure you're on your way, or just kind of, do you remember that you've got a session? I got no reply. And then it was like 20 past, and I was like, this is really weird. So I called her, just went straight to voicemail. So this is really odd. So anyway, she never turned up. I finished at 6 and I went home. Next morning, I dropped her another message and said, hey, look, I really hope you're okay. I'm just checking in to make sure you're all right. Like, I just haven't heard anything from you. Like, is everything okay? Heard nothing. Probably about 2-3 days later, I found out that she'd left the gym, like, after the session. Like, she'd cancelled her membership and she'd left the gym, and she'd cancelled all her PT and everything, just hadn't told me. And I'd never found out why. And I straight away, my mind was like, it's my fault.
Yeah.
What have I done?
Yeah.
Like, this lady seemed happy about coming to the gym, and now all of a sudden has gone. No explanation. Didn't even tell the company why she was leaving. She just left, cancelled everything and gone. So for me, I was like, shit, that was my fault. What have I done wrong? And what have I screwed up with that's led her to leave? So for me, it was like, right, okay, this is a big moment, learning experience. What have I done wrong? How can I change it? And to be fair, when I look back on it, I didn't really do much wrong at the time because I didn't know enough. So I did everything I knew.
Yeah.
But when I go back through it, again, like you say, willingness to change, huge thing. The injury, probably should have just referred out to a specialist who could have then referred to me what I needed to be working on. And I would have been better equipped and kind of been able to guide her a lot more. Whereas it was just like
that takes an open mind, that though, mate, to be fair, because I think we've worked with PTs in the past, haven't we, where you get it's someone else's fault, like it's not their fault, and the fact that you've gone into that,
it's always the client's fault. They're not ready. Oh, they don't want it enough.
Yeah. And that openness to be like, right, how could I grow from this? How could I get better? How could I improve? Like and I think that's something that you've sort of always from then on lent into, haven't you? And you've been a massive advocate of that, and it's clearly shown with where you've got to now. So fair play to you. What was sort of your conclusion from that? What was your next steps after that?
Well, again, that's kind of where it led for me to go to California, because I was just like, right, I just don't know enough here. I just don't know enough to be able to help enough people. And I followed this guy on social media who was had his own facility in California, and he trained athletes. Well, friends of mine, they've got a golf company, they're golf pros. And so they were going on a world tour, and they actually went to the facility that I was following this guy from. And when they'd come back, they said, like, you need to go there. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, just fly out to California and just go and train there. It doesn't matter whether you go there like for anything specific, just go and train. And I was following him, and I found out that they did internships. And I was like, okay. So I just reached out and I was like, hey, do you have international people come over? And they're like, well, yeah, we do. I was like, all right, can I apply? So they gave me an application form and I applied. Well, fortunately, my friends of mine who'd been out there, they made friends with one of the ladies who worked at the gym. And so she put a good word in for me, because obviously I had that connection, and it got me the internship. And so it was like, this is it. Like, this is the next thing. Like, I thought I knew it. I thought I'd made it in the industry. Like, I got my qualification. I started working on the gym floor. Like, I'd made it. But then all of a sudden it was like, no, I don't know anything. So I got this internship and I was like, this is it. I've made it. This is it right now. This is the one. So I was kind of.
I'll tell you what, mate, you must have a really good collection of T-shirts along this way, because like they're just coming out left, right, and centre, aren't they?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's the place I've worked at. So yeah, like I got this internship, so I flew out to California, and it was unreal. Like, I was training NFL athletes. Now, I wasn't kind of programming it all, but I was learning how to program it for them. And just seeing how athletes train is ridiculous. And I think everyone has the idea that when they've been an athlete, they want to train athletes. And what they start to realize is it's such a micro niche that actually your top athletes don't get trained by people that have just got a 3-week qualification.
Yeah.
You aren't there yet. So I remember just being one of the 9 interns, and I was just like.
So just probably for those that are jumping on, just talk us through how that works, mate. That internship, what's involved in that? What's the framework of it? Like, obviously you've applied to go out there. What's that all about?
So basically, the internship was kind of learning how to work with athletes. And so over the 3-month period, they were going to teach you how to coach athletes, how to coach people. They were going to take you through, and a lot of it was very much self-study.
Okay.
So the guy who runs it, his name's Todd Durkin. He's got so much information out in the world, and he's got videos that you can purchase and kind of go through on how to coach and how to program and how to do everything in between. And I remember that they had kind of like 2 facilities. They'd got one it's in a strip mall, and they'd got one downstairs and they'd got one upstairs, and it was kind of like 300 yards apart from each other. So if you had finished in the one facility and there was something going on in the other facility, you had to walk and then get to the other one. And when you went upstairs, they'd got this back office, and it was just like a couple of computers, and that you could put the videos on and learn like how to program and all this different stuff. And I remember just whenever I had a minute, I'd wake up at say 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd get to the gym at 5:30. I'd help with the first workout in the morning. As soon as I had any free time, I was up in that office and I was watching all the videos, and then I was going back helping out with all the workouts. As soon as I got time to eat, I'd eat, and then back up watching more videos, just literally trying to soak up as much information as I possibly could. Because I was like, if this is the best thing that's ever going to happen in my career, I'm not wasting a second of it.
Do you think, just because I think you mentioned there, well, a little bit earlier on, obviously being at school and that struggle to get motivated to learn and take new information in and to try and absorb new stuff. Was it the fact that you found your passion that all of a sudden switched that on in you to want to go and absorb stuff in an area that, would you say that was what it was? Or was there a certain point where you thought, right, I've got to go and learn this? Or which was it, mate? Was it a blend of the two, or how did that work?
I think the one big, again, obviously the story I talked about a moment ago with losing a client, like that was huge.
Yeah.
But they're just moments in your career. They're just like kind of stories that come along with the thing that is your career and what you do. But it was literally hitting the point where I was like, you know what, I just don't know enough. I need to know more, because something's telling me right here for me that I just don't know enough, and I can't help enough people, and I can't help people because of the fact that I just haven't got the ability to articulate or be able to kind of say, you know what, I know that, so here it is. And
so I suppose that is that purpose, isn't it? I think like you're saying that purpose is to help people. I know what you touched
on there, like 100%. Like the fitness industry is my passion.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone has a passion in life, and sometimes you don't always find it, or you don't always go looking for it.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think I was very much fortunate that whether it was my wife, my now wife, that kind of said, hey, why don't you try this? And she was the kind of guiding way of saying, hey, you look like you're good at this, you like helping people, well, why not blend the two and just see if you can make it work? But it led me to be in that position, and I found it. And it is a passion. It is a purpose as well, because it is just a case of every morning I wake up, it's like, right, when I walk through those doors, someone's going to need help. How can I help them?
Yeah.
Now that I'm better equipped to help them, I start to realize that it's not all about me just going out and just telling them everything they need to know. It's finding what they're struggling with to then be able to say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you, and just ask the questions. And I remember, I'll never forget you just coach and lead, because you're not trying to just give them all the information, because all the information's out there anyway. It's trying to find out what's applicable to them at that point in time, and why they need that information and why they want that information, to then be able to say, hey, okay, this is probably what's best for you.
And that's interesting, isn't it? Because when you first come into the industry like I did, you just want to tell them what to do. You want to give them all the information, and you haven't got any of it, but you just want to go do this, do that, do this, and you just want to give them everything, but you don't know enough to then give them, and you don't understand any of that. And I think that a really good thing from that story with the first client is the fact that you do remember it was a Tuesday, because it was such a pivotal moment in your career, which led you to Los Angeles, which then led you to absorbing all that information. And just like myself, you want to have all the information to be able to, when a question comes, to give them some guidance and relay that onto them, which then helps them or makes them self-sufficient at getting to the result that they need to be with your support. And I think that when we first start, we find that massively difficult, because we just want to show everybody how good we are.
Yeah.
And it's not about the individual, it's about us. And then we always have a pivotal moment that makes us switch and get that. And it makes so interesting to hear when yours was. Mate, I bet you could tell, you told us the exact time, you told us the day. Do you know what I mean? You could probably tell me what trainings you had done, because it was a pivotal moment in your life. And I've got them, Dan's got them, and every coach that wants to learn, develop and grow, that's massively passionate about this industry, mate, that's what we do. That's what we live for.
I think it's ironic, isn't it, really? It's almost the more you learn, the more you know, the more you take on board, the less you actually tell people. Do you get what I mean? Like you first come in and you're like, right, this person who stood opposite me, jargon, information, overload, overwhelm, bang, 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 bang. And the person who's working with you is literally stood there like, that's no fucking good to me. But then as you get more experience, like you said there, and you're starting to learn a hell of a lot more, but you're asking them questions to find out where they're at and giving them those little tidbits and those breadcrumbs to move along that road, aren't you, really?
Yeah. I mean, I follow your stuff online, and you put a post out the other day saying that information's out there. People nowadays can literally just jump on a phone, type it in on Google and get the information. So you can do that as well. You can give them all the information, but it don't help them because they don't know where they need to go.
Yeah.
Like we just automatically think that, okay, I'll give them all the answers and they'll just get there. They'll get to the end result. But actually, like you said, there's A, where they're starting, but we're trying to think that they're already at Z. They just need to skip B through X and Y and just get to Z. But it's that whole journey that comes with it. Yeah. And we just sometimes, when we first get in, just skip all over that, because it's like, no. We can get you from A to Z and we'll compete with the 30-day fat loss stuff.
Yeah.
Like, everything in between just comes with it.
Yeah.
But, so California was ridiculous because it was just all about being able to absorb information, and the 3 months was invaluable. It really was. The only trouble I had, I came back and I was like, right, okay, I'm going to program the best thing I can find right now. And I just remember getting a client. And so when I went back to the same place, or same facility, but it wasn't Virgin anymore. It was Nuffield. So they'd been bought out. And I remember when they'd been bought out, that I got a message and I was like, hey, look, we've been bought out. It's a new company now, but we want you to come back. And so for me, it was like, okay, they want me. This is good. So maybe I've got a little bit more of a stand-in now that people start to know who I am and I can start to move forward. And I remember going back and I was like, company's starting to change a little bit here. So maybe this is going to be better for me. And I just remember like signing up clients. I was like, they're making a heck of a lot of money out of this than I am. And I'm doing all the work here. Like, this is just not a balanced system.
I think we had a conversation, didn't we? And you were pretty much like, I'm going up, because the way that, for those listening in, the way that I suppose model worked was, it was like they paid through the facility, didn't they? And then you were paid by the facility. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just like the commission type basis. Yeah. So you get paid for the sessions that you deliver, and it's based on a tier system. So the more sessions you deliver, the more you get paid per session, depending on which tier you're hitting.
Yeah.
And it was like,
but you were going like well above and beyond just those sessions, weren't you? I think that was part of the frustration, I suppose. Yeah,
like I'd literally come back from California and I was like, right, okay, I need to be making sure that I'm shit out at programming. So I'd literally program every single session. I'd probably still got them typed up somewhere on my iPad. And I'd literally just make sure I had every single session ready, use my iPad. I could look, right, cool, we're going to do that. Spend time looking at, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't work. Next session, we're going to spend time on this. And so you put in so much effort in, and you start to realize that the effort that you're putting in and the reward that you're getting back financially, yes, okay, kind of personally is fantastic, but financially you're like, this isn't good. So there's two types of people that will kind of hit that point. The first type of people that'll be like, fuck it, I don't give a shit anymore. And just all of a sudden they just want to just kind of dick around for an hour, train someone, count reps, and then just be like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, I'll see you next week. Whereas you got the second type of person that's like, okay, this isn't where I want to be. How can I use it to my advantage? And how can I move forward so I can do it on my own? And so all of a sudden I was like, right, I don't want to fall into that trap of that first person, because I've seen it so many times already. And I've only been in the industry for like 2 years. So I'm like, okay, how can I be this second type of person that moves and does his own thing and builds his own kind of empire, I guess, to be able to say, right, okay, this is how I know how to help people more. And so that journey has just really kind of always been about being able to be the best version of me, to be able to give that best product and that best service to people that are coming in so they can be the best versions of themselves. So that was a real big moment there.
Quite interesting that as well. Like you mentioned, that personal satisfaction and the financial satisfaction, and there's got to be a balance, hasn't there? To be fair, like I get we all come into the industry to, you know, help people, support. Well, I say we all come into the industry. At some point, you'd like to think that's where you end up in terms of mindset. But that whole, you know, I want to help people, I want to support them, I want them to change their lives, I want to impact them massively. But that, like, you can't survive off thin air, can you? So that balance has to be there for you to be able to go and I suppose support the people you want to in the way you want to.
Oh yeah, we're all naive when we walk in.
Yeah,
we're all naive. We're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to help everyone. I'm going to have 100 clients and I'm going to help them all and I'm going to get paid loads. And also you start to realize that actually you get paid shit, but you don't get paid. Like, you basically might as well work for free. But then you start to realize, hang on a minute, I've got a life to live.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how can I get the balance? And unfortunately, big box gyms are built in a way that if you want more money, you have to service more clients. But the trouble there is it's more hours that are going in. So your personal life doesn't actually get better. It gets worse because you're spending more time working for someone else. And this is what I think we're seeing so many people leave the industry, or so many people jump to online coaching, because they just can't sustain the hours to the financial payoffs. So it's very interesting. I don't kind of disrespect anyone that says, you know what, I'm just going to go and do it on my own blindly, because they just think that's the next thing that they need to be doing. So they're jumping from that one ship that they thought was bad into another ship that actually is even harder.
Yeah.
Because if you struggle to get clients in person, you're going to struggle even harder to get clients online. But if you've got clients in person, you still don't necessarily get clients online, because it's a different market, it's a different world. So it's a really cool idea, but actually the execution needs to be a little bit stronger for a lot of people with that respect.
Yeah. So that then you sort of you dotted around then, didn't you? From Nuffield, obviously came into Pure Gym in the glory days of Wolverhampton South, and then moved on to your own facility. Just talk us through that, mate. How did you find that?
So the one big thing that I was finding with Nuffield, that I wasn't running my own business. That was the huge thing. Like, I had some form of a model that I was working in the business, but I had no kind of control over the external factor of my business. And so when I was talking to yourself, it was like you were starting to explain to me that actually the model that it worked on at Pure Gym may like serve me better, because I am starting to run my own business in more of a sense. And so it was like, okay, well, maybe this is that next part in that journey. So I was like, right, okay, I'm coming over. And I worked on the hours. So I did my 15 hours a week, and I'd work on my own business. And again, it was still trying to build up my own clients. And it was like, it was eye-opening, because you start to realize that working in your business is very different to working on your business.
Yeah.
Everything on the inside is easy, but it's that outside of the business that you're like, shit, like this is how a business runs. Like, oh my God, I've got to actually take care of my money. I've actually got to like track it all. I've got to make sure everything that's being done on the back end is actually growing my business, because all of a sudden you just think, oh, I'll just train as many people as I can and I'll get paid £30 an hour instead. I'll get paid £40 an hour instead. And you're like, this is great. Well, actually, you start to realise that you got to pay taxes.
Yeah.
All the money.
What's the self-assessment?
Is it?
That's myself. What do you mean? I look good. I'm fine.
I can tell you what a shoebox is, if that's any good, mate. But
yeah, literally, and you've got to keep all your receipts that are tied in with your business and everything that comes in between. You're like, what the heck? This is ridiculous. But all of a sudden, you start to realise that, hang on a minute, I'm not a businessman.
Yeah,
I'm the guy that works in a business. So all of a sudden, your mindset switches, and some people's mindset switches, should I say, because some people will still be like, you know what, I'm just going to train people. I'm going to take cash in hand. I'm going to just be done with them. Like, I'll train them once a week. I'll see you next week. There's £30. I can save that for a few beers on Friday night. But it's like, hang on a minute. How are you serving people if you're not servicing yourself properly? Like, it's just, it's brilliant. So Pure Gym was leading me down that road of, right, okay, actually, this is running a business. This is what it takes to be switched on and be a businessman. So it was kind of getting me to the point where I was like, you know what? This is great. I'm really enjoying this, but I'm, with all due respect, I'm still working for someone.
Yeah.
And I say that with all due respect because you were my manager.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just didn't want anyone over my head, because as soon as I've got someone over my head, he's got someone over his head, and he's telling that person above me that these are the things that need to be sorted. So he's then going to tell me that these are the things that I've got to be doing. And I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? I've been doing this for a few years now. I'm starting to learn that actually I can make my own decisions, and those decisions impact my business as opposed to someone else's. So it's like, right, okay.
I suppose it's that trade-off, isn't it? And I think what you're saying there is like, it was still a part of that journey, and there's lots of good things that came out of that. But you're at a point now where you're just like, right, I've learned what I need to learn, and now that next step is where you get on to from there.
I just want to add it in for anyone that listens, any PTs that listen. Owning your own facility is not for everyone. I have to say that, because we all walk in the industry thinking, I'm going to train athletes. And then we all walk in the door thinking, you know what, I'm going to be the next top bodybuilder, or the next top bikini athlete or physique athlete. But everyone's not going to be the top next bikini athlete or physique athlete or bodybuilder or business owner. You have to sometimes realize that working for a big box gym, but you run your own business and you can be very successful at it. You don't have to then have your own place. you can do everything you want within a big box facility. It's just some people will decide that, hang on a minute, I am just a little bit further on the journey and I am a little more, but not necessarily confident to be able to do it, but I have actually got a little more that I want to do. And that's where it kind of led me. And I don't have any disrespect to anyone that just stays in a big box gym, because you're in the industry helping people and you're doing it the right way and you're learning, you're growing, you've got a business that serves people, and that's fantastic. But for me, I was just like, you know what? This is a journey, and I think the next part of my journey is opening my own place.
Yeah.
How did running a business, a PT business in like a gym like Pure Gym, where you're now you're running it, you're sole owner, you have to do the taxes, all that kind of stuff. How did that set you up for opening your own unit? Or did it?
It opened my eyes. That was the big thing. Like, I said it a moment ago, but you start to realize that you're not just a trainer. And Pure Gym is a great model for anyone that wants to step into owning their own facility. 100%. Because if you're working for a Nuffield, if you're working for a Virgin Active, if you're working for a Lifetime, you're working for a company that is just paying you. So you're just an employee. Whereas when you go to a Pure Gym, you are a self-employed business owner. And it's a different mindset. It's a different ballgame altogether, because you start to realize that it's on you. This is literally your business. It's your baby. It's what you're going to do. And you start to think that, okay, I'm doing all my taxes. I'm running my own business. I'm going to step into something new. I'm going to step into something that's scary, that's different, but it's yours. And it is that next kind of level on that journey that it was Andy Spooner Fitness. It was like, this is truly Andy Spooner Fitness. It's not someone coming into Pure Gym and working with a trainer from Pure Gym who's kind of got an online presence that calls himself Andy Spooner Fitness. Like, it is just that kind of, this is all mine. And so it really set me up. And I think anyone that works for Pure Gym will see that the model is so much better if they actually take advantage of the setup that they're given. Yeah. Yes, okay, you can pay rent, or you can do it in the physical hours, but you have I know it's obviously changed now, hasn't it, Dan?
Yeah.
I know the model's changed now, but that's what it was for me. And it was like, okay, well, I can sacrifice 15 hours because I know that if I do 25 sessions a week, that's 40 hours, and I can start to program everything else in between, rather than having to do more hours at a different facility and get paid a lot less. Yeah. I can be in control of a lot more stuff, I guess. That's probably the best way of looking at it. You control it rather than having no control, because it's, when we have no control, we don't have the ability to make decisions to where our business wants to go. And so I was like, right, okay, I have the control and I have the ability to make those decisions for my business for the better. And transitioning into a facility that I created was so freaking exciting, but at the same time, so scary. And for anyone that thinks you literally just get to the point where you're like, I've worked at a big box gym and I'm done. I'm opening my own facility and the sky is just going to open up and I'm going to take off. Nope. Open my own facility, got a few clients, and literally the floor fell from underneath me. And I got a video on my phone. I remember I'd probably been open for about 8 months. And I got a video on my phone because I was like, you know what? This sucks. Like, I don't want to say I was depressed, but I was getting to that point where depression was hitting me, because I was literally just in my facility and almost just like emailing people, messaging people, just trying to say, hey, look, would you want to come in for a workout? And I'm like, people aren't coming in. I'm not getting the traction that I thought I was going to get because I've got a place open. So what do? So, all right, okay, I'll pump some money in and I'll get some advertising going. So all of a sudden, I'm not necessarily making much, but I'm putting more money in to try and get the advertising to get my name out there. Still, people aren't coming in. Shit, what's this business all about? Like, what's going on? I've gone from having, say, 3,000 people that I could advertise to having the whole city, but no one knows me. And I've got this little place that I've got to pay for every month, every 3 months. Like, shit, what do I do? So this video, again, I'd been in there for about 8 months. And I'd had I had 2 or 3 clients cancel that morning. And I'd obviously just sat there and I was like, shit, like, if I don't do something, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. I'm not going to be able to stay in, and they're going to start coming after me. So I was like, this is ridiculous. And I just sat there for like 2 hours. and I was getting more and more sinking into this hole. I was like, you know what, I need a reminder. So I literally just videoed myself, and I just said to myself, you know what, Andy, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. And you're just going to work your way out of it. Like, you've got the ability to train people, but you're just struggling with the business side of things. So you just need to move forward and find what that next thing is. And I'll never forget that. I was like, okay, how can I learn more? And at the first point, I was like, why would you learn more? Like, why would you then go and spend more money on a course to learn more, to then have more debt? Like, that doesn't make sense. But I'd been following Phil Learning online for so long, and it was the Advanced Coaching Academy. And I was like, you know what, I've got to do something, and I've got to be better at coaching and business, and I've got to be better at training as well. And I think I'm still like that. I'm like, how can I be better at stuff? And I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do the Advanced Coaching Academy. So literally got my card out and I signed up. I was like, all right, I spent more money on a course that I didn't have before I'd signed up. So I was like, right, okay, now is the time to put that effort in and learn more. So I went through the Advanced Coaching Academy. It took me some time, but I did it. And as I was going through the process, I started to realize that I wasn't doing everything I could as a businessman to get more people in, because I wasn't using the people that were around me for referrals and networking. And what I started to realize is, as soon as I was tapping into those people, that actually your business can grow. And it doesn't take a lot of people to run a business, a lot of clients to run a business, should I say. And so I was literally just picking up one client a week. And also that one client a week was enough to actually grow my business, to then be able to say, okay, that one person turned into 2, but then that 2 turned into 4. Yeah. And so when I got up to the point that I'd built my business up, I was like, you know what? I'm at a point where I don't need any more clients. So it kind of took me to get to that low point to say, okay, I need to learn more, to then boost myself back up again and go past the point of which I'd got. So we always kind of look at clients' journeys being that linear line, when actually we all know that it goes up and down and all over the place and round in circles and back to the start and then starting again. But it was very much the same for me in business. It was like, okay, I'm starting to grow. Oh, I've gone back down. Oh, okay, I'm starting to grow, and then I've gone back down, and I've opened this facility and it's plummeted through the floor. So I'm now at the point where I just need to go back up again. And it really just took me to get to that point to say, all right, okay, how can I go forward and how can I build on this? And it got there. So opening your own facility is so much different to running a business within a facility. And Pure really gave you that opportunity to learn everything. But for me,
lots and lots of lessons in there by the sounds of it, mate. But I suppose all stuff that rolls into you getting to where you want to get to. So like, you've had that story just there. Obviously the wedding came around, and then heading out to the States. What do you think have been the big differences between obviously working over here and heading over there and working across over the pond, as they call it?
Well, first off, yes, I was very fortunate to get married last year. I don't know what she sees in me, but we're doing all right. So I can't complain there. But yeah, she wanted to come back, so I came over to see her in October and decided that it was like everything for me. And what's really interesting, most people will be like, oh, you've got an English accent, you're going to get loads of clients over there, like they're going to want to train with you, they're going to love training with you. It's the same thing. It's not necessarily like a turn on. It's not, because people are like, oh, you've got an accent, but who are you and how can you still help me? And so you start to just talk to people. But what I find really interesting is how much people over here are willing to invest within their health. It's so different. Like, the US spends a lot of money on healthcare because they want to be healthy, but they're doing it in the way of medicines. They're doing it in the way of going to doctors, the hospitals, all that kind of stuff. Whereas when you actually start to, again, coach and lead just with like the people in your facility, they actually think, well, hang on a minute, he knows what he's talking about and he's helping me. Like, he's just trying to help me, but he's actually doing it in a way that he's drawing me in. And it's not like you're doing it in a sleazy way, but you're just talking to people and just asking the questions to get to know them, to give them the information like we talked about earlier, to say, well, actually, if you want, I can help you more and we can do training. And all of a sudden, people will just drop the card out and they'll happily have 5 sessions a week. They'll happily have 3 sessions a week. Yeah, like, I see the value in it. I'm going to invest in myself. they're not just seeing it as I'm spending money and I'm wasting money. They're actually investing. And I think that's a big difference between the UK and the US. People want to invest in themselves, whereas the mindset sometimes in the UK, and it's not everyone, is why would I want to spend money on that? And I think that's probably the biggest difference that I've seen. The training essentially is catching up, I would say, in the UK compared to the US. We're not really that far ahead anymore over here compared to the UK. The stuff that I do over here isn't really flashy. It's just the simple stuff consistently over time that are just helping people.
Do you think maybe it's more like the market over there, or the way that it's, I suppose, positioned over there is there's more of a focus on going out and remaining healthy and exercising, not necessarily just training, but being that someone that exercises?
So with 700 million people in the country, like, if you can't get, I don't know, 20 clients, you're struggling. Let's be honest. And so the big thing that I'd noticed with certainly America, but I don't know whether I'd say the UK is getting to that point as well, is you have that opposite end of the spectrum. You've got those people that absolutely adore fitness. They live, breathe everything fitness. And it's like, if they don't go to the gym, then there's something wrong with the world. But then you've got those people that are completely the other side. And these are the people that don't care about fitness. They don't care about kind of going to the gym and being healthy, but they care about their health. So these are the people that are spending all their money on healthcare. And these are the people that we need to educate to be able to bring them forward to say, okay, you haven't got to be on this end. You haven't got to be going to the gym every single day, but just simply stepping out of where you are right now would actually be 10 times better than where you currently are. So whether it's just going for a walk every morning could actually be the thing that makes you healthy, that you don't rely on the healthcare system.
Yeah.
And so I know that I'm working in a facility that very much sits on this opposite end. It's working with people that want to be top athletes, but at the same time, we get people walk through the door in this side that are sitting at A. They're sitting at A. They're not even at B, C, or D. And it's a case of, right, your journey is just as important as everyone else's. So we want to bring you forward and bring you up, because that's what you're doing, because you're stepping into our facility. So you've got that opposite end of the spectrum, where I think in the UK, you've got people that sit in the middle.
Yeah.
Very much so. Like, there's that, I don't want to say grey area, but you've got that little area in the middle where people will be like, I'll go to the gym, but actually I don't care either way sometimes. And
like
so
almost a token effort, I suppose.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, that's probably a good way of putting it, because they're just like, I know that I need to go to the gym because I think that's what I should be doing. Whereas some people will be like, yeah, I'm just going to go and do my hour and then I can go home and I've done my bit.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, it's very much like everything, nothing. There's not really much here in between.
Yeah. Mad. No, yeah, it is interesting. And I think, like you mentioned the word spectrum there, I think that's probably a really important one, because people tend to sit somewhere along that spectrum, but more often than not, people are like, I'm either someone who goes to the gym and trains a lot and gets stuff out of it, or I'm someone who goes home and doesn't train and isn't interested in it. So I think it's probably our job, isn't it, as an industry, to educate that there is actually a spectrum, and it's all right to fall somewhere along that, as long as you're moving towards where it is you want to get to, mate. But no, some good stuff in there, and as always, interesting to hear your story and to catch up with you, mate. We have got a few fun questions that we'll wrap up with, if that's okay, mate.
I don't know about that.
So, Mr. Love, over to you, sir.
Yeah, so the first one is, you're hosting a dinner party, and you can invite 3 guests. They can be alive or deceased. What 3 guests are you bringing and why?
What 3 guests am I bringing and why? Oh, dang, that's hard. You know what? I'd probably just bring my buddies. And me, Dan, Jordan, and Adam. We've got a WhatsApp group, and you know what? I'd probably just bring those 3, just because it'd just be a laugh, just to sit around the dinner table and have some food and just kind of chill out and just have a joke. It's been a while, so I think it's needed.
I know, mate. We were on about getting on that house party app and stuff, weren't we? It just never materialised. So you've got your guests. You've got your guests, mate. You've got to decide what you're feeding them. So 3 courses, starter, main, dessert. What meals are you choosing, and why have you gone for them? You don't have to cook it, by the way. You don't have to. I know you might be partial, and I've seen you like a pizza now and then, didn't you, mate? But whatever it is you want to drop in there, it's up to you.
So actually, if I was going to be hosting a dinner party, it wouldn't be like a pizza. I just think it'd be too easy. I'd probably go with like a prawn cocktail starter.
Decent.
And then I'd probably definitely be going with a steak, maybe with some like asparagus and potatoes. I think that would be a good way to go. And then for dessert, I think it'd be kind of like some chocolate brownie type dessert with some coffee ice cream.
Coffee ice cream. I loves the coffee. Does Chadders.
I'm thinking right now.
Sweet. So yeah, okay. Go on, mate. Last question.
So you're stranded on a desert island, and you can take one musical album with you and one only. What you're taking? Because you're going to listen to this for the rest of your life, pretty much. While you're stuck on the island. What album is it?
Oh, one album.
DJ Darryl doesn't get a shout now. He's going to be fuming, mate.
He doesn't really produce albums. He produces playlists. I'd have to take my iPhone with me to be able to listen to it. One album. That's a hard one. That's a really good question.
It gets everybody, this one.
Yeah, I mean, it might shock people a little bit, actually. I like all sorts of music, but at the minute I'm listening to a guy called Ryan Bingham, and he's a country singer. So I'd probably take his album. It's called Mescalito. It's really good. Okay. Yeah.
Not heard it, mate. I'll have to have a butcher's.
You enjoy it. Country music, mate. It's the way forward.
Of course it is. He's in Texas, isn't he? Of course it is.
I should have said UB40.
Oh, mate. Yes. Shout and half. Shout and half.
Getting in Dan's car, listening to UB40 all the time.
Right. Was it? No, wicked, mate. Some good stuff there. Some good choices as well. We now no doubt could have kept going for another couple of hours, I reckon, there, mate. So we'll have to have another catch up at some point soon. But sure. massive thanks for jumping on. Thanks to all the listeners for listening in. If you want to click on the subscribe button, that'll ping out every time we get a new episode to you. As you can see, the Tash is still alive and kicking. So please do get your Movember donations in as well. But thanks, Anne, for jumping on. Cheers to Martin again, and we'll catch you all soon. Have a good one. Done and dusted. Thank you, mate.